Hello, my friend. This is Heather. This is another episode of the Back to Me podcast. This is an awesome celebrity chat, and I'm talking to Sheri Miter, and we are talking about harnessing your strengths and recognizing where you operate best and how and why you should use those things. And if you haven't done it yet, we're doing the Clifton Strengths. So have a listen. Let me know what you think. And if you know your Clifton Strengths, put them in the comments. I'd love to know what they are. Take care. Have a good day. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. I almost forgot. I just wanted to jump back in and let you know that I am having a free masterclass on March the 29th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And it is the 6 keys to unlocking your best life. So if you want to have some quick actionable items that can really help you get a handle on where you need to focus your attention and some first steps to get you going, join me at that free masterclass. The link is in the show notes, and I will hope to see you there soon. Take care, my friend. Hello, my friend. How are you? I hope you're having an excellent day. This is Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast. Man, we're driving right through season 2. Seems like I just ended season 1. But here we are. We're going through season 2, and it's one of these super awesome celebrity chats. Every Friday I get to talk to some pretty amazing people from all over the place. And thank you, technology, for having us being able to do this. And today we're talking, oh my gosh, today's is going to be pretty cool. This is Sheri Miter. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
yes,
perfect.
Sheri Miter. And we are talking, if you've ever worked in corporate and you know what Clifton Strengths are, that's kind of where we're going. But also, we're talking about, the reason we have all these things, I'm assuming, Sheri, we can talk about that, is because if you know what your strengths are, you can be more successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
welcome, Sheri.
Well, thank you for having me, Heather. I'm excited to have this conversation. You know, two of my favorite things are, one is talking about Clifton Strengths and empowering others to just know about it. And two is talking with other amazing women who are trying to make an impact on the world. So
Right.
it's a win-win today.
Totally. It's a triple whammy, I always say. And the first question I always ask people, because I'm so curious, and you might be able to tell that from my strengths profile, is how did you get into being a Clifton Strengths coach? Like, that's not something you wake up in the morning and go, as a little kid, I'm going to go be a strengths coach.
No, not at all. So I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. My husband and I owned a chimney cleaning business for 10 years of our first 10 years of our married life. He's a professional firefighter, so this was a side business for him. Every firefighter has a side gig. So we had that, and I love that. I came from a very non-traditional family. My dad was military, and then when he retired, they had another business. So I've just always been ingrained with that. And then I realized I needed something of my own. I got into direct sales, and while I was raising my 3 boys, and I loved it. I actually did really well when I found my thing in it.
Right.
There was a lot. I'm leaving out a big chunk of the story of the trial and error of things that didn't work. But it was in direct sales as a leader. One of our corporate people that came from the corporate office, he got trained in Clifton Strengths.
Right.
And he was going out and doing workshops for the sales force. And that's where I was exposed to it. And to be perfectly honest, the first time I heard about it, it wasn't through the corporate guy. It was through something else, through the direct sales company, I'm sure. I don't really remember. And I took the assessment, and I hear this happen to so many people. So I like to put this out there. I know I took it in 2016. The only reason I know that is because it's dated. The day you take the assessment's dated on your report forever. So I know it was May of 2016. And I'm an assessment junkie. I love every assessment. I look at the world that we can't know enough about ourselves. So if it's out there, I took it. So somehow or another, I got exposed to it, took the assessment in 2016. I'm sure this is what happened, that I read the assessment and thought, yep, sounds pretty cool. How'd they know that? Sounds like me. And never did a thing with it.
Right.
They didn't know what to do with it.
Well, and that's what you do. Like, I can remember being in corporate and we did the Myers-Briggs. You do all of these things and then you say, cool, and then it goes on the shelf in a binder, right?
Yep. And then when this corporate gentleman came out and he starts doing these workshops on strengths, that was when it was like, oh, that's what that was all about. That's what you do with this information. I unlock the full report because if you're not familiar with Clifton Strengths, there's two options. You can, and Gallup owns it. So it's owned by Gallup. You have to go to gallup.com to take the official assessment. There's a lot of knockoffs out there, but the official one's at Gallup. And you can do a top 5 assessment, which just tells you what your top 5 talent themes are. And we can get more on what that means in a minute. Or there's a full report. And I'd only had the top 5 initially. So I unlocked the full report after being exposed to it. I went to a couple of workshops with, his name was Sean. And then I was actually one of the people that just by luck almost that I was actually able to get a little one-on-one coaching with him virtually. And that was powerful because it really made an impact on how I led people. And I was able to step into my own leadership ability that I realized like, oh, this is why I can't do it her way, or I can't do it that way, or this way. I have to find my own path. So it just empowered me doing that. And I used it with my team. And it really changed things for me. And when I was ready to step outside of the direct sales path that I was on, and I knew I was ready to make a change, that was the one thing that just has always stuck with me. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And it took me a while. It took me a year before I finally invested because it's a big chunk of change to become a coach. It's not inexpensive. So it took me a while. And actually, if that's one regret I have, I wish I would have just bit the bullet and done it a year earlier. But, you don't know. But and
sometimes I feel like when you take that time, you say, oh, I should have done it sooner, but maybe you weren't actually ready. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's things in my life where I'm like, what took me so long? But then when I look at who I was at that time, I'm like, oh, maybe I just wasn't really ready.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think everything's by design. It's not our design.
No, not ours. My God, are you kidding me? Too many balls to juggle if I was in charge.
Yeah. So, and then, since then, so I stepped away from direct sales 3 years ago to start my own coaching consulting business. And to be honest, Heather, it's been a morphine. It's been this like trial and error, like strengths has always been there, the Clifton Strengths, because I'm so passionate about it. And I see that it helps anybody in any field at any stage of life. But it's taken me a while to figure out like, who though do I want to coach with this business? But
And also, and because I coach coaches, I know that sometimes when you first you want to coach and you want to go out there and you want to help people, but there's a lot of moving parts, like, oh my God, who, how, what, like the basics, who and how. Yeah. And there's a little bit of trust that has to happen. But it also helps to know where your strengths are. I mean, I can remember I took the Myers-Briggs, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs. I'm an ENFP.
I never remember what I am, so
I probably remember because of the way the letters flow. Like I like patterns of the movement of words and things. I'm just like all over the place with this one, but yeah. And I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then, like you said, you don't know what to do with it. So sometimes I think like corporate is often trying to help their employees be understand and help their managers understand their employees. I mean, I did a conversation with she's going to kill me, Inner Design International, and she does the colors profiles to help teams understand how to work together. But understanding yourself can so help you understand why you struggle, I assume, with some things and not others.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where, so the Clifton Strengths, it's your natural DNA. It's your talent DNA. And that's one of the things I love about it.
That's a good phrase.
Yeah. And it tells
you. That down.
Okay. It tells you how you naturally think, feel, and behave. And it's what, I'm a Christian, so I put it through that phrase, use whatever, resonates with you, but it's what, in my mind, God put inside of us when he designed us.
Right.
So these talent themes we're born with. It's like your thumbprint. But they morph as life affects them. So, they're there, and I love, and I'm probably getting way sidetracked on your question already. But
that's okay, because as we know, we're laughing before the podcast because my lowest strength is focus.
Yeah.
So you go.
And I still got to come back to the focus story that I have for you too. So that'll be interesting if we get to that. So anyway, so what happens is through life, and so actually you were asking Heather about what woo means. Woo is one of the talent themes. So there's 34 talent themes that you are, and I don't like the word graded, but that you're ranked on. Yeah, rank's the better word. So your top 5 are very important. That's how you show up in the world as your best. Your top 10 is how you still really navigate in that top 10. And I always tell people, like, if you can live and work and breathe in your top 10, 80% of your life, you're going to love your life. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel more excited, and you're going to be more successful. And versus if we have to navigate in the world of our lower, like if you had a job, Heather, that required you to be focused all day long, you would end up exhausted at the end of the day.
I used to be a CPA, right?
Okay, yeah. So
I lasted for 15 years somehow, but
yeah, because we don't know what we don't know, right? And you probably wondered, why am I always so tired?
Why am I not having any fun?
Right. And it's because you were forced to focus all day on tasks. So, but what happens? Oh, going back to the woo. So woo is one of the task themes, which is winning others over, is what it stands for in Gallup's world. So if you have high woo, you're that type of person that can walk into a room and everybody becomes your friend. And it feels authentic to you. It's energizing to you. Like, you love a crowd.
I know those people.
Yeah, I know those people. I am not one of those people at all. Versus, like, I'm high relater. I love one-on-one. Like, give me a deep connection. Like, I would rather have a small dinner party with 6 people and have some really juicy conversation versus going to a party with 50 people. Like, that's exhausting to me. I can do it, and I can do it well, and I can act like an extrovert, and I'm an introvert. It's like all those things. But going back to the woo, somebody high in woo, this is what happens. And each of these talent themes has this. I just feel like woo is such an easy one to demonstrate what happens to us in life. Somebody high in woo, they love to have conversations. They love to talk. So imagine this little woo in first grade. What is the teacher telling? And I know this because I'm almost positive. I have 5 grandkids, and I'm almost positive my 6-year-old granddaughter is high woo.
Right. Let's just have a talk. Who cares about school?
Yeah. And so the teacher's always telling her, Adelaide, you got to be quiet. Adelaide, you can't talk in class. Adelaide, shh. So what happens to her high woo? It gets smushed.
Right.
So as we go through life, a lot of times our natural talent themes are smushed by unconscious people not even knowing what they're doing to us. And sometimes I'm sure I smushed my boys' themes
Right.
at some point in their lives, not knowing. We don't know, we don't mean to, but it just happens. So by the time we become adults, we don't even know what our talents and themes are and what we're gifted at anymore. We've lost who we are.
Right.
Because we've been forced to mold into the world. And that's where, when people go and take this Clifton Strengths assessment and they read their report and they see it in black and white, that like, yeah, that is who I am. I didn't know that was a talent. I didn't know that was a good thing. Everybody always told me that was a bad habit I had.
Oh, yeah, right.
So that, to me, is like this most powerful thing about this assessment and how it can build that confidence. And again, I don't even remember now what your question was. I totally don't think I answered it, but I hope that was, so I'm going to pause
I don't
here.
remember what it was either. So we're just going to go with it because it's just a conversation. This is what it's like to talk to me because I don't focus.
Yeah.
But I have other strengths, right?
Right.
If everybody was the same, wouldn't life be pretty boring?
Right. And that's another good, so if you are somebody that works in a corporate setting or a team, doesn't matter if it's corporate or not, maybe you run a small team, you run a small business, you want a team that's well-rounded.
Right.
We're not meant to be well-rounded necessarily, that we all have our own strengths in certain areas. And if we can just lean into them and do them really well and keep going by what we do well, not worry about what we don't do well. And then you partner with somebody, you delegate to somebody, you create this team of people that do. So like for you, you want to have, if you hire somebody that has focus,
Right. Who can keep track of the details and make sure. Actually, it's funny because when I worked in corporate, I had a woman who worked for me. And I was a senior director, and she would come in. I'd say, okay, I'm going to go on vacation. And she'd say, no, you can't because of this and this and this. You're going to go on vacation here. I'm like, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I always said I just hired people smarter than me, but what happened was I ended up with people who had different talents than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And helped me stay on track.
Right.
I did it unconsciously, apparently.
That was a smart move.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my focus story. So when
I want to hear the focus story.
So when I was attending these workshops and really learning about what Clifton Strengths, what it was and how to implement it, what it means to me in my life and all the things. I remember going and so there's 4 domains. So there's 34 talent themes. And then they are grouped into, I call them 4 buckets.
Okay.
4 main buckets. And they are, oh my God, they're going to slip my mind.
I'm looking at my chart. I can tell you.
Okay. Yeah. Strategic, relator. Help me out, Heather.
Influencing, executing.
Thank you. I know I haven't looked at that in a while. So those 4. So strategic, relator, influencing, and
executing.
And
Gold
just
star.
as they kind of sound, influencing is somebody who has the power to influence others, to help others come along the journey. Strategic thinking is somebody who's good at thinking the ideas and creating the ideas that need to be implemented. Relator is great at getting the team all together and involved and let's do this together. And executing gets it done.
Right. The doer.
The doer. And the talent themes all kind of fit into these nice little buckets. And usually we're stronger in one of those 4 domains. So those are things that we look at. So anyway, just laying the context here, when I really started looking at my report, and focus is number 10 for me. It is the first executing theme to show up on my report.
Oh, right.
So And I've always been known strategic's very high, futuristic's number one for me. So it's no surprise because I know I'm that person that people would call up, hey, Sheri, I need to pick your strategic brain. Like literally had people before we knew strategic was a thing, Clifton Strengths would say that.
Right.
So that's another, I'll pause here for anybody listening. Your talent themes, you can kind of figure some of them out without even taking the assessment based on like, what is it that your friends, your coworkers, they look to you to do? Those are going to give you clues of what your talents are.
Right.
I love the assessment because it shows you in black and white and there's no doubt on what they are. But so I'm reading this, I'm getting this, and then I see, oh, executing doesn't show up till 10. But it was like this light bulb went out because what had happened to me in my direct sales path is I had a good friend of mine and we were kind of power partners and we would walk, we're local. So we would walk almost every morning and brainstorm and come up with these great ideas. And we were pretty much at the same level in the company. And, we grew together in the company. So we would come up, have these brilliant conversations. And fast forward a couple months down the road, because this happened over and over and over again. Fast forward a couple months down the road, she's implementing these ideas that we would talk about. And she's further ahead than I am. And I'd be like, oh, Lisa, where'd you get that idea? That's a brilliant idea. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, it's a blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that was your idea, Sheri.
Hope she cut you in on it.
Yeah. But when I realized, oh, I'm good at creating the ideas, I'm not good at executing them.
It's funny that you say that because on some of my podcasts, I've told people I'm an ideas doula. Like I can come up with ideas to no end, but I can't raise all these idea babies that I keep having. I have to give them away. And I just went quickly to look, and my first executing is number 16.
Okay. Yep.
So there it is, friends. Yep. I'm not designed to do things with all these ideas.
No. And isn't it freeing, Heather, to know that now?
Right? Yeah, my first executing theme is responsibility. Strange.
Yeah.
But it is, I guess people might take that like their theme. So my dominant theme is, what is it? The strategic.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
My number one is empathy, which is relationship building, but then the next four are strategic.
Mm-hmm.
And someone might take that and go, okay, great, but how do I find a job, vocation, make a living being empathetic? Like, maybe I'll become a psychotherapist. Oh my God, but I'm already in my 50s. It's too late. Like, I can just hear the spiral in my own brain. So, right? So then it is super freeing and it's super useful. But I can just see it's like, then how do you start to align yourself for those things?
And I'm so glad you brought that up because it's not even necessarily taking those themes and thinking, what job should I go do? What job am I supposed to be good at? There is a little element in there that you can definitely, as you're, one of the things I do now is I help people discover their calling. So we obviously look at your strengths and like, what are you kind of designed to do? But what it really is meant for you to do is if you think you are where you're supposed to be as far as job wise, it's how do you approach that job? So, and again, what pieces do you need to delegate? What pieces do you need to partner with? So that, again, we'll stick with you, Heather, that you're good at the ideas and the strategic thinking and doing that. So if you can approach the job or whatever you were doing with that mindset, which it sounded like you did when you were a CPA, because then you had somebody that you didn't have to do the details.
I love delegating. Right? I love delegating.
Yeah. And
also because it's not going to get done, or I know it's not going to get done if it's left to me.
Right. And even if we can do it, like there's a lot of times we can do something, but it doesn't mean we necessarily should. And if you have to, especially, if say you're a solopreneur and you're just starting a business, yes, there are times we just have to
everything.
We have to do it all. We have to do it all. But it's when you are aware of what your talent themes and your natural talents are, then you know that, okay, I'm going to have to focus today on a task that needs to get done. And I'm the only one here that's capable, I have to do it. There's no other choice. Then set yourself up that that task is going to exhaust you. So maybe plan ahead that, okay, today, like on Monday, I know I have to work on my taxes. Just so that I have to do paperwork.
Some people just broke into a sweat.
Right. I have to do my bookkeeping. So you set it up that, you know what? I'm going to stay in my PJs all day. I'm going to make sure I have my favorite coffee ready to go or my favorite tea. And I'm going to allow myself on Monday night, I'm watching the Hallmark movies all night to treat myself.
Oh my gosh.
Because I know I'm going to be flat out exhausted. Or maybe you need to get out of the house. Maybe you need to set a date up to go meet a friend and have a drink. I don't know.
And it's funny because it is true. Like when you are a solopreneur, you are the sales department, the marketing department, the finance department, the customer service department. You're everything.
Right.
And if that's not you can't be everything. So as much as I've tried over my lifetime to be everything. And it's funny that you say that because I am a solopreneur, although I do have recruited someone to help me, but I actually have blocked in my calendar from Monday to Friday an hour in the middle of the day that says rest.
Mm-hmm.
And
me too.
It's like I have to put that there because otherwise I would keep going because, I'm like, ooh, something new, something shiny. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the day or the end of the week, I can barely lift my arm. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. So I have to put that in there to rest or else I won't. Mm-hmm. And then it just burns me out, right?
Right.
So cool.
Right. So it's just really guarding ourselves. And then the more we can really understand what each theme means. And there's also, with each theme, they used to call it balcony and basement. Now they call it like a barrier or some, there's different phrases that people use, but I still like to go back to the balcony and basement, and most people in our continents understand that concept that we want to be on the balcony, right?
Yes.
At the top and out and exposed and in grandeur, style.
Good view.
Versus stuck in the basement. And each theme has that. So being aware even of those. So because if we get stuck in a basement, that's really where that talent theme that could be your superpower could turn into a weakness if we don't navigate it well.
In what way do you mean?
So let's look at empathy is your number one.
Yes.
And empathy with Gallup, it was interesting. I just had a conversation with one of my clients today. We got talking about empathy because it's such a buzzword today. And everybody wants to talk about being an empathetic leader. Some of us can't be.
Right.
Because we're not naturally empathetic. Doesn't mean we don't care.
Right.
And that's important to know that even if empathy is low for you, it doesn't mean you're an uncaring person. It's just if you have high empathy naturally, you feel like you physically can feel somebody's emotions.
That's why I don't watch chick flicks. Because I can't take it. Like people tease me that I won't watch chick flicks. They think that I'm like there's something wrong. I'm like, I just can't handle the emotional roller coaster.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense for somebody high empathy and being aware. Now you know why.
Right.
Like how that and that's the difference of, like I said, it doesn't mean if you don't have it, you don't care about the people. You're just not going to feel that emotion like that. So somebody with high empathy, you could be perceived as soft, as moody. So that would be in the basement. And it's either how others perceive you or how you perceive yourself. if you don't allow that talent theme to shine the way it's supposed to.
So it shows as a weakness if other people are seeing it as a negative.
Right.
Instead of you letting it be something positive.
Right. Right. Or you see it as a negative, because sometimes we see our own superpowers as weaknesses. And a lot of, and that can even come from, again, that whole thing of what were you told as a child kind of thing.
That's why, psychotherapists make such a good trade. It's like everything goes back to childhood.
Yeah.
But we're just little sponges then. We don't know.
We don't know. And the people that we're in our lives, most people aren't doing things to wake up and make our lives miserable. It's just nobody knows. We just don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, having high empathy makes you somebody can be that trusted friend, that when somebody does need that somebody probably makes you, wonderful coach and counselor, that people know they can trust you. They know that you understand what they're feeling. Even if you haven't experienced it, you can really take on that person's emotions so deeply that they know and they feel valued when they have those conversations with you.
That makes sense. I had this boss when I was an accounting student at the time, and I was working in the firm, and my manager called me one day and he said, come to my office. So I went to his office and we're just chatting, and he said, okay, thanks. I said, well, what did you want? He goes, I just wanted you to cheer me up.
Aww.
And I didn't know that going in, that he was just feeling down and he wanted me to come in and just be there with him to talk about nothing. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
See you later. Yeah. Then it's like, how am I going to charge that on my timesheet?
Yeah, that was nice that he felt that.
Right?
And that presence.
And it makes sense to me in a lot of ways, because of the way I feel like when I interact with people. And then when I look at the next 4 things, they're all those strategic ones. And I guess that's where okay, I've got an idea. It's like, okay, I got it. I've done the download, and now let's go move forward.
Right.
Oh my
let's
gosh.
fix it. This is what you can do now, right? Let's get to it.
I can't do it for you. I have a podcast I listen to. He says, I can't do the push-ups for you, but this is a way for you to move forward. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Sure.
Right. And again, what a great thing as a coach, we're not supposed to do it for them.
No, definitely not.
So you've put yourself in this great position, Heather, that probably unknowingly how well you're using your talent themes in coaching. And I wouldn't be surprised if you occasionally, because I know I do this too, is pop off our coaching hat and put on a little consulting hat sometimes. Works well.
Right.
But then we don't have to implement it. It's up to we gift it to the client, right?
Yeah. Thank goodness.
So, right? Yeah. And another one, so we, can look at your input was number 2 for you. And input in regards to Gallup's is they love to just gather resources and knowledge. And it could be books. It could be like even we talked about this before we hit the record, that you were sharing with me the training.
Yeah, of course that I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If I showed you, I actually have on Todoist, I keep a list of all the digital courses that I've signed up for, so I don't lose track of them. So I can go, oh yeah, that one. Let me go back to that one. Because it's true. If I could just sit all day and learn things, I'd be probably just pleased as punch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the thing that also happens to me when I learn something is I feel the immediate need to go and tell someone else. Teach someone else, which is interesting.
So that's learner playing with input.
Oh, that's my number 9 is my learner.
Yeah. So your learner likes to learn, but your input wants to now have a resource to share with others.
Right. Oh, so interesting. Oh my God, how can I be so defined by these things? But and we're all super unique. I think you told me at one point how many combinations of these things there were.
So probably what you're referring to is that the chances of somebody else having the exact same top 5 themes as you in the exact same order is 1 in 33 million.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So we really are unique human beings. And that's where I think going back to what our whole topic here of building confidence is when we can get off of that whole comparison wheel. It's so hard. It's a daily fight for most of us, sometimes hourly, sometimes minute fight of,
right. Just scroll through Instagram and you'll be doing it every 2 seconds.
And we just automatically, human nature again takes over of comparing. And wow, oh, she's doing that. Maybe I should try that. Or if we are high learners, we fall into that trap too sometimes. I'm high learner too. So I've taken all sorts of courses, and I have to be very aware that, wait a minute, just because they're teaching me this doesn't mean I have to do it their way.
Yes, true. Oh my God, she's like, she looked in my brain.
Yeah. So because if we start doing that, that's again where we come up feeling like failures. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Whereas if we can learn to just really, really lean into like, wait a minute, this is the way I'm made. This is the way these are the talents God gave me. I need to learn what they are, study them. So you're studying yourself.
Right.
And then learn to use them to enhance wherever you are in life. It can help you. It can help in relationships. It can help in, your career. It can help in finding a new career, whatever you're doing. And that's the whole key with it, with the whole Clifton Strengths. And that's another reason why I'm so passionate about it, because all the other assessments I've taken, they've never made such a difference in people's lives.
Right. And all of the other ones have, 33 million, right? 1 in 33 million. So it's almost like it's more fine-tuned. Other ways of defining personalities and strengths are almost a little too broad. Mm-hmm. So like an ENFP. So like, what does that mean?
Right.
So,
right.
And, it says, yes, I'm extroverted, intuitive, ENF, feeling, perceiving. But I don't know how to translate that into something. Where if I look at, although I did ask you, what is intellection? So if you can look at like, okay, these are kind of the tendencies that I have. These are the strengths that I have. How can I use those on a daily basis or be aware of them and bring them to the forefront to help me achieve the things I want to achieve?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So even like if we looked at the intellection, I happened to pull up the balcony and basements sheet, but intellection, when you're on that balcony, you're an excellent thinker. You enjoy musing, which is probably why you like the podcasting. Really, that's what you do, right? You have these interesting conversations with people, learn about different things. You're capable of deep and philosophical thoughts, and you're able to work alone.
Yes. Yes to everything.
Yeah.
Although I do really like my podcast, I have to say. I do love talking to people because why? Because I get to learn something new.
Yes, and have intelligent conversations, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Maybe I was just meant to be a podcaster.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, when you really look in, the other thing too is on your report. Do you happen to have your report in front of you, or is it on digital?
I have it on Adobe.
I don't know. Can you share it or not on the screen?
Let me just see. I probably can. I've probably got the power. Although people listening to the audio push audio won't be able to see it, but we can talk about it. Let me just see.
And if not, that's okay. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I can't figure it out.
Okay, that's okay. So when you take the assessment, you get this beautiful Clifton Strengths 34 report if you do the full one. And the other thing I love about it that I want to point out, the last thing, is that not only is it like you're 1 in 33 million, but the description. So they give you the generic description of what that theme means. And that means the same for everybody, whether, if you have strategic and I have strategic, our first theme thing is the description is the same for all of us. But then it goes on and it breaks it down in a couple of paragraphs. So when you're looking at that report, that it's usually like highlighted in a different color, that whole couple of paragraphs is only about you, Heather.
Oh, yes, because it says, why is your empathy unique? Well, no, why your empathy is unique. And then I actually have like 5 paragraphs on why my empathy is unique.
Because it pulls from where your other themes come in.
Okay.
And
that's like a very intricate web of like 34 strengths and all of these like interweavings. Oh my gosh. I'm just imagining the program that can bring all that out.
I cannot even, I don't, because it comes like, what, 2 minutes? Like you get this report. Somebody way smarter than I created that. I don't know how they do it, but to me, it's just fascinating that they do it. And it's so fun to read the report. And what I recommend is when you have your report, to read it through and highlight and underline, especially those paragraphs that are just about you. And do that over and over and over again. Because every time you read that, again, you're reading about your zone of genius, your superpowers, what you were put on earth to do and give to others. And it's just a reminder for you to go out and let those gifts shine for everybody else to see.
Right.
So when you're feeling like you're lacking confidence and, imposter syndrome set in, all those doubts, or even if I do this when I'm about to launch something new, I pull back out my report and I read it as a reminder, wait a minute, Sheri, don't do that, because that's going to demand too much focus.
Right.
That's not how you want to create this. You will not be happy. So, or don't get into a position where you need to develop. You like to maximize people, so, you learn, you just are reminded sometimes of like, wait, this is how I work best. So how can I create something? Or if you're setting a goal, it works the same way. It's like, what talent themes do I need to pull from to make sure I hit this goal? So like I said, highly recommend you print it out and you set it next to your bed. You file it in a cabinet where you know exactly where you can get your fingers on it at any time, because it can be such a powerful, powerful report if you let it.
Right. And you use it. It's a gym membership. You got to make sure you actually go to the gym. I'm just looking. It's 25 pages long. It's not excessively, it's not like reading War and Peace or anything.
No.
Right?
No. And it's about you. It's the best novel ever.
Right? I'm one of those people who likes to just like, come on, hurry.
Yeah.
But, I can't. That's just me. But I can do 25 pages. And then there was something about so you have your top 5, and then you work on developing the second 5. Is that what you do?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So your top 5 are the most important parts, but as you, and honestly, I wouldn't even say that they're the most important part. Scratch that thought.
Okay.
It's more for how you can digest the information, in all honesty. That's why a lot of times even Clifton Strengths has that top 5 report. I'm not a fan of it because I feel like there's so much more information you need in the whole report. But it's easy to digest. I can digest 5 themes. It's a little harder to digest 10 themes about yourself. So it just start at the top 5, learn what they are, start being aware of them. You're already using them. You just don't know that you're using them.
Right.
And then learn the next 5. And they're not, the Clifton Strengths, your talent themes are kind of, if you think of a circle, like a pie chart, And if you had all 10 around the circle, what happens is then if you put whatever, again, going back to a project or a goal or what a task, you put that in the center and you can look to see, okay, I need to accomplish this today, this week, this month, this year. What talent themes do I need to pull from to use to do this well? But then you can also look to see what talent themes might get in the way of me doing this successfully.
Right.
Because sometimes even like learners, we love to learn, but we don't always implement what we learn.
It's just tucked in my pocket for later when I need it.
Yeah. And I'm willing to guess, and only I know this because I do this. Like I said, learners in my top 10. I have so many books I never finish. I get the point of it halfway through. I need a new book. Amazon delivers new books to my doorstep almost every week. It drives my husband crazy. And I can't do an e-reader. I'm sorry. I need a real book. I love a real book. So
and here I just thought I wasn't a finisher.
Nope. Nope. It's our learner needs to like, okay, I got them just so that what else can I learn now? So.
Right. Oh my goodness. And it's funny because I actually do a monthly book review, or I was doing a monthly book review. And I was like, I would pull the book out and go, did I read the whole thing? I can't remember. But I know what it was about.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Now you can share it.
Now people are going to know. Go back and listen, and they're going to realize whether I read the whole book or not.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't realize.
Right. No, because you gave them the gist. Because a lot of people aren't even learners. So the non-learners, they're thrilled because they don't even have to they don't want to buy the book.
They want the Coles notes.
Right, yeah. So you save them from even having to buy the book. That's not their thing.
So I know that one of the things that you have for people to help them is you have this new guide. And as soon as she said workbook, I got really excited, which I guess now she knows why. But
yeah, so I had, and again, talk about delegating it out because I'm like you, not a detail person. My graphic designer created this beautiful guide based on some of the tools Clifton Strengths Gallup gave us as coaches to use. And it really summarizes quickly some key points. And it's called 5 to Thrive. And the reason it's 5 to Thrive is it's 5 tips for every single talent theme that can help you right away just use them. And the 5 tips are like, what do you need in order to do your best work for each talent theme? It gives you one little line. It's quick, easy to digest. The second thing is you get frustrated with what frustrates you based on that talent theme. You thrive when, this is one of the key ones, is like, what environment do you need to create for yourself so that you will thrive? The fourth one is kind of the basement area. It's what might get in the way of your success.
Right.
Because again, every talent theme has this dark side that could get in your way. And then the fifth one's the one I'm really super passionate about, is why you're needed in the world.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did a book review on You Are a Badass, trying to convince people that yes, you are, and yes, the world needs you, and you just got to figure out how to be out there and do it.
Right. Yeah. So it's all based on these talent themes. It also has a great quote card that, again, Gallup had, created for each theme, and then the description of what that talent theme is. So it's meant to help you guide, ideally, if you've already taken the Clifton Strengths assessment, but you can look through this guide and kind of guess what you are, what are your top themes, which is not, because it also has descriptive words, like how people might describe you. So like I'm looking at our achiever right now, that people describe you as driven, self-motivated, productive, ambitious, or diligent. So we could kind of self-identify that way. But I'm still a huge believer in just bite the bullet. It takes 30 minutes. There is a fee to it to take the assessment, but it can be life-changing. And because a lot of your talent themes you don't know you have.
Well, and I would argue that sometimes how people describe you is how you've been maybe being, but you might not have been being the way you were really designed to be.
Right. Because a lot of times it's the task-oriented view.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like I have had people describe me as super organized, and I just laugh. If they only knew. Yes, I can hold it together, but it's not really my strong suit.
Right. Exactly.
But if I believed what everybody told me, that I'm like super organized, I go, oh, that's interesting. And then I pick the wrong one.
Right. Exactly. That's yes.
My gosh, we could be here all day, but I'm going to respect your time. I knew this would happen, and I'm going to respect everyone's time. But I'm going to encourage everyone for sure. We're going to put it in the show notes how they can get your, I said I would, 5 to Thrive guide, your tongue twister, and your website so people can find you. Maybe I'll even throw in the Gallup website so that people can go and check out what their Clifton strengths are. I mean, who doesn't love a good quiz?
Right.
Is it just me?
Anybody with high learner, you love a good quiz.
You love a good quiz. Come on. Seriously.
Yes.
And before I let you go, I'm always give people this, like, what is a final word of wisdom you could have for people to help them kind of like jump into the, knowing their talent and going with it?
I wasn't prepared for that.
I should have let you know, but
I think, one, I've just been emphasizing, like, just go figure it out and study yourself. Know who you are at your absolute best, and then own it. Own them.
That's fabulous. See, off the cuff is always great. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sheri. Thank you for sharing all of that and all of this, everything that you're bringing to the world, because the better you know yourself, the better you can actually achieve everything, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you for spending some time with us.
Well, thank you for having me, Heather. Like I said, I love talking about strengths, and I love talking with other women who want to make a difference in the world. So,
yeah, exactly. That's why we're here.
Yes.
Back to me. Thank you. And thank you, my friend out there in podcast land, for coming and hanging out with us. If you do know your Clifton strengths, throw the top 5 into the comments. I'm always curious.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, go take the quiz, right?
Yes.
Take care, my friend. Have an outstanding day.
Thanks.
Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Give it a like. Give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.